Good evening and welcome back to another edition of Beyond the Backstage Pass. I am your host, Vince Edwards. You may know me from Sound Image Productions. Also, we got a couple closed roadie groups on Facebook, one called The Backstage Pass, another called Death by Loadout. Come check us out. Tonight is a very special night. We are so busy here at Sound Image. I mean, it's crazy. Like, I am pushing gear and vehicles and humans out left and right, up and down, all over the goddamn place. We're extraordinarily busy. So we're doing a show with you with a very special guest, and I'll get to that in a minute in the can. We're filming this on Wednesday, the something 10/6, I think it is, October 6th. That sound right, Bern?
Sure.
All right, Bern said fuck it. He's going with it. I am been lucky enough. Now, I got my dear, good friend as my co-host tonight, my special guest co-host, Bernie Broderick. Bernie, thank you for being here. This is a loudspeaker god, legendary badass in the game. He stepped in. Bernie, I got to say thank you. I caught you at the tail end. You were going to run off to do some business. You had this date. I had told you we weren't going to do this an hour or two ago. And you jumped in the shower. I come and see you in your underwear, you sexy mother.
Yeah.
And I tricked him
You're
into.
still thinking about that, aren't you?
Yeah, a little bitty bit. With the kind of the
little bitty bit.
Yeah, that part was
cold.
the emphasis. It was cold. It was cold. To your credit, it was cold. But you were sweet enough to put your plans on to just a quick hold so we can bang this thing out.
Yep.
And the reason is because I've got this head in the house who's doing some work for us, who's absolutely fascinating and does some crazy shit, and I want to get in his head about it. So we had to capture him in this moment, and so thank you very much. How was your day today? I heard you out there in your workop just working and
cutting, grinding, drilling.
You're turning shit out, buddy.
I am, yeah. We got a bunch of carries going out. I sent out, I don't know, 8 of them this week. I've got another 6 or 8 in the build right now.
Yeah.
So it's catching on, man.
Yeah,
you know.
I told you another big wig called up today asking about your stuff, and just wanted to get in my ear about my thoughts on it. And I pointed out to him, I don't want to share you can say who you've sold these things to or not. That's up to you. But I know who you have. And I said, well, just take this. These are some of the people that have reached out for it, have gotten the product, and have sent back reviews. And to the person, these are all people that are so in the know, literally, 25 to 40-year veterans of our game that have all acquired the carry. There's one right there. That's mine. The only black one in existence, pretty little devil.
And little girl.
Yeah, I love that thing. We were just playing it. We were just doing a test for some friends of ours that just bailed out right before the show started, up against a little one that they had brought in, and that test was shocking.
Yeah, I walked in on that.
Yeah, I liked how you stayed in the background for a minute and let me do my little song and dance.
Yeah.
Because it was night and day, different. And it just shows the engineering and the care that's went into the design of this thing. And like I said, one of our friends that was here recently that really enjoyed it reached back out and just wanted to, I think, put the dot on the I, a little cross on the T. And so he's going to be reaching out to you in the next day or two to talk colors and whatever his special configuration is.
I think it's on a slow burn, because people think of Bluetooth speakers in like a price category.
Sure.
So when they think Bluetooth speakers, they think $200, $250. So when they hear the price of this, which is much more, I mean, $875 for the basic colors and then $925 for the custom, higher end colors, it's a bit of a sticker shock coming out of the gate.
Yeah.
And what I say to people is, I go, you may think it's expensive for a Bluetooth speaker because you don't have much reference as to what Bluetooth speakers cost. To say something is expensive means that you have an intimate knowledge of what went into building it and what's inside and what it can do. One thing, I refuse to record videos with the thing playing, like I've never done that. I don't want to do that. A lot of people do that.
Listening to it through their phone and shit, it doesn't do it justice.
It doesn't do it justice. Yeah. So that's the other thing too, is people, until it kind of filters out enough, there's enough of them out there where your buddies get you to hear it, or like you're doing or whatever, or we have some representation where you can go and listen to one. Like I placed one here in Sound Image now, so that when people come in, you can throw it on and let them have a quick listen and stuff like that. I just think it's going to take a little while. I'm busy enough. And there's no doubt about that. I mean, it's fine. But we're ramping it up, and we're getting, instead of getting dozens of parts, we're now ordering like hundreds of parts. So it's getting pretty serious in terms of inventory of parts and things like that. So we'll keep the push on. And, of all the ones, I think there's 24 more of them already out there now in people's hands.
That's great.
And 100% success rate. Nobody's said that there's a failure. Nobody's indicated any problems. Nobody said it's not what I expected. And these are all people who never even heard it. They bought it,
Well, they were buying it
sight unseen or ears unheard or whatever.
Well, I think your reputation comes into play. I mean, let's not forget, to remind the audience, of course, your long history with Adamson, engineering, L Acoustics, EAW. Yep. You're now the proud owner and operator of Truth and Audio. You're a loudspeaker design legend. And I know I throw that word around kind of loosely, but in your case, it really, legend applies. And I know you this isn't your favorite
I need
thing.
another drink.
Yeah, but it's a fact, dude. There's literally millions of people every rock and roll season stand in front of speakers you had something to do with and are entertained. So it was a safe bet, for people like Greg Price or Martin Fry, some of the badasses in our industry, or Dirk Schubert, people that we've actually named on the show before. Yeah. These are people that are in a position to know exactly what something should do, could do, and what they would want, and are all very pleased with the product. So it makes perfect sense. Anyways, this thing is available. Yep. Reach out to Truth and Audio if you want to get a hold of one. I swear by the thing. We were just rocking out hard to some Supertramp because, again, one of the best produced albums of all time, and we were kind of showing what this thing can do with that, and it's extraordinary, the clarity and the depth. And my personal favorite, of course, is the bass response. I'm a big low-end guy, and so really just extraordinarily impressive. Let's talk now about the last week's show, which I thought was a little chaotic in the beginning. My chick made that note, and but I thought it went really well. It was fun. We had yourself on, Winston Dama and Kyle Thomas, who has since went back out to be on the road to finish up his tour with John Legend. But it was a lot of fun, and it was super good. So I would like to thank those guys and yourself for being on last week. It was really enjoyable.
It was. It was a little chaotic, but I think that's where the fun comes from sometimes. If you break out of the regimen a little bit, have a little fun, push the boundaries, have a laugh. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Entertainment is entertainment, no matter how it comes.
We were trying to be loose. We weren't trying to be loose. It was a loose show.
It was just loose.
It was loose. We threw it together at the last minute. Our guest, William, Snoopy, was not feeling well, so we covered it, and a bunch of the heads that were in the building, our dear brothers, just kicked it, and they were all happened to be prior co-hosts of the show, so that was kind of fun having folks that had helped build the show and helped be part of the show. We're all on together, and we were kind of swapping stories.
Yeah, everybody teamed up, and it was fun. We had John Del Rio sitting in the audience.
Yes,
Dugan was there.
George Porgy was here.
George Porgy was here. And that was fantastic. I mean, it was just those guys were just laughing their asses off in the background. That was making it really fun for the rest of us who were getting intoxicated. I think I put a half a bottle of rum back that night.
I kept taking
during the show,
and handing it to other people.
Was it obvious?
No. Phase, it seems so natural.
So anyway, it was a heck of a lot of fun. I've got a note that Lovers and Strangers, George's band, Lovers and Strangers, has a big shoe coming up in October.
Yeah, they're doing a thing in Monterey, California, late October. I don't have the exact date, but it will be something. Well, we do a lot of big shows here. We've got Machine Gun Kelly this weekend. Last week we had Imagine Dragons. We're doing STS 9. What is that? Sound Tribe Sector 9. Yeah, these guys had and a batch of other things. We were doing 4 or 5 shows this weekend, and we're just booked like crazy here in this shop. And but every so often we'll go out and we'll do a kind of a regional small thing with a band that we've come up with through the years. When I say years, I mean like 3 decades.
Right.
And we break them out and fill up a place and make a lot of good sounds and have some people dance and have some fun. So that's coming up, Lovers and Strangers, late October, Monterey, California.
I think it's going to be fun. I mean, I saw the old analog Yamaha over there and stuff. Looks like it's going to be...
it's his club board.
It's
Georgie's club board.
I mean, you look at those things now, right? I mean, it just breaks my heart because... so much money, so much work and effort went into designing and building those things, and now it's, you know, I mean, I get it, the digital age and everything. I get it. It's not that. It's just it's all down to chips and PCBs. You know, there's no you don't see a human being involvement anymore. You know,
Look across the shop right now. You can see there's the X4.
Yeah.
And then next to it, there's a SL24, S6L24. Then there's an S6L32.
Right.
Then there's an SD5.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah,
the history of
It's
the
digital
last
mania.
15 years of boards over there
Yeah.
right now getting prep for shows. And, you know, it's just the ebb and flow of technology. You know?
It is.
It's going to do what it's going to do.
And I'm totally fine with it. I'm totally
Yeah.
fine with going forward. I'm
But
just
I
saying
get
it's a
you.
little heartbreaking. You know, it's like finding an old Ferrari in a barn or something. You know, it's like
No, it's not like that. It's exactly that.
Yeah.
Because there's absolutely nothing wrong with that Yamaha. That thing, it's maybe not as utilitarian. There's other, you know, you got to bring the outboard gear. It takes up definitely a larger footprint. There's some of that, but overall, man, you know, it sounds great. It's going to go out. It's going to put on a real good rock show. It's a lot of fun. And some of us old timers, just dance around on thing with one hand with our, looking behind our back. I mean, it's super intuitive and so they serve their purpose, and it's weird to think of boards like that are sitting in shops like ours, Boneyard, a very large boneyard of all this equipment. There's technically nothing wrong with.
No.
The shit works.
Yeah.
You give me an H3000 any day, and that's just a playground, you know. But think about it. That's 849 pounds.
I know, and it's like
Six guys more to lift a fucking thing.
But here's the funny thing, right? Like, I bet you I can walk over into microphone world and still find a fucking couple of dozen SM58s.
Oh, easy,
and
those
precede those desks by decades.
69.
Right.
69.
So you know, why did this go the way of the Dodo, and yet an SM58 is still a perfectly acceptable microphone? Mysteries of the universe, ladies and gentlemen.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. You know, we get these writers all the time. We just had one for the aforementioned SDS9, and their writer for their desire for microphones was the absolute history of microphones.
Nice.
I mean, Royces and Bamers. I mean, it was just crazy, right?
421s.
Like, oh man, this like, and I was like, yes. Well, I'm not sure about the music, but they definitely know which mics to pull. And you know, there's untold thousands of dollars of killer ass microphones in there, and I don't think one of them was, you know, newer than 20 years.
Well, I guess we would do the same with consoles if we could throw one in our pocket.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The fact that it is 800 pounds and takes 8 guys to lift it.
And all that real estate. I mean,
all that real estate. You can only have so many dining room tables.
An H3000 is actually bigger than this desk.
Right.
You know, and so just think about that real estate, you know, and all that it takes. And then the outboard gears takes up a space easily that big. And so it's a lot of space.
But it was
it
was the days when everybody
knew
knew
in those spaces. You know?
Everybody knew who the sound guy was.
Yeah, that's true. There was no way to miss him.
There was no way to miss him.
There was a guy standing in front of 1,000 knobs and 50 fucking faders. Which, by the way, good looking fucking image.
Good image. Got to have a real time analyzer
cool
in the
image.
rack
Yeah,
too,
that's right. I know everybody's too. You sons of bitches. Good old days. The good old days. Let's do some shouting out to the folks that we know. Yeah. You're actually not doing this live. We will catch your comments tomorrow in real time. So I'm going to shout out to some of the Appointment TV people that we really respect and appreciate that follow the show so closely. You know, there's people like Ian Peacock over in Great Britain who will be up at 3 a.m. when the show airs. That's live amazing. There. He stays up every show. He's just a badass and a killer, production guy in his own right. Charlie Zaricki from Michigan. Mm-hmm. We love that guy. Isaac Ames over in Japan. You know, the guy that sent us the samurai sword. Actually, he was in town recently, and he just flew back. The list goes on and on. Scott Cheney, No Other Beard Tanner in he's in Boston right now. Oh, wow. You know, just all of our bros and
Pat O'Doul.
Pat O'Doul. Total soldier. Yep. He's always got my back on this shit. So we thank you guys for checking in with us. Hopefully you'll do the comments tomorrow. We'll be following when we air this show. Tomorrow being tonight's show, which is going to be our normal Thursday 7:00. So without further ado, Bernie, I really want to thank you for being here. You've been amazing in the last many weeks.
I thought it's been the last many years.
Well, yeah, of course, buddy, but we're just talking about the show.
Oh, okay, all right. I get confused.
It's never
sometimes.
not been amazing, Mr. Bernie Browder, Captain B. You are absolutely
As a
right.
friend.
I stand corrected.
As a
You're
friend.
absolutely priceless and dear friend of mine, and I appreciate all your help and support.
Likewise,
lately.
my brother.
You've been wonderful. Thank
That's
you,
why I'm
brother.
here.
I appreciate you more than anything. Let's get to this guy. He's an interesting cat and done a lot of stuff. You want to do it?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, baby. Here we go.
Chomping at the bit.
All right, in our pursuit, our ever-lasting pursuit to bring in interesting and amazingly talented people, we reached out to a dear friend who's briefly in town to do a big light heavy show for us. We're stepping out of the audio mold. You know, in this show, we're trying to do our best to every show to highlight a different segment of the production, live production. And tonight's we're gonna focus a little bit on lighting. We've got an amazing cat that's toured the world, done pretty much every step in the lighting game. He's worked with Tool, Chicago, Stevie Wonder, Eminem. The list is too long to go through them all, so let's just catch him up with him right now. Get over there and say hi to the one and only Ryan Torok. How are you, my brother?
Evening,
So
guys.
good to see you. Thank you for
Thank you
being
for having
here.
me.
So it turns out you're a big fan of the Vans, huh?
Well,
Are you
know,
wearing Vans?
Of course.
Good man.
Yeah, you know,
All
I mean,
right.
you know, hey,
just
you
want to
know-
make sure you're representing properly.
Oh, no.
You beat up if you wear a Vans shirt. You wear like some
Yeah, I'm wearing my
You get
Adidas.
fucking
No,
Adidas. You know?
if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly.
I think I'm still wearing the same stuff I was wearing when I was 16.
You know, when I was skateboarding, I used to, because I was a die-hard Vans guy.
Yeah.
And I'm too fucking old. I'll break a hip. I can't
Oh,
ride the
that's the same. I'm the
skateboard
same
now.
way. I'm the same
But
way.
in my day, I could do some stuff. And man, I would take the toes off of those doing tri-slides and shit, you know, because I'd charge these hills and just, you know,
I'd always
wheels
rip up the fronts doing knee slides. down the half pipes.
yeah.
You know, catch it on the coping or something like that. And your
exactly.
shoelace like totally blows you over.
Totally,
all the time.
dude. The skateboarding was so fun, man. The lethal. I think, you know, at a different time and different folks. It's amazing how far that's come. The skateboarding. You know, so many things we didn't know we should have been doing.
Yeah, and it's and a lot of the companies that the boards I used to ride like when I was a kid are now all coming back again with their original owners because, you know, now they're the same age that we all are, and they're like, oh, I got to retire and like make a business.
Yeah, sure,
So, but
sure,
yeah, it's
I know Alba's still riding for. I mean, that old man's still getting in pools every damn day, going over and checking over fences and cruising down alleys trying to
whatever he
find
can
empty
do.
pools. He's a freaking badass. And Tony Hawk, I guess, is a billionaire or some shit. I don't know. When I was a kid, it was like Stevie Caballero, all the Pal Peralta guys. You know, what was it, the Bones Brigade and all
'cause
that shit.
You were totally in that area.
Oh, yeah.
It was just all around.
Yeah. And so it was just a thing. So, all right, I'm going to ask you, I mentioned you're a lighting badass. You've done a lot of stuff in there. You're in here doing a relatively large regional job for us that involves somebody that we need that knows his shit. It's pretty involved. So I have no choice but to ask you as an audio guy, why lighting?
Well, you know.
You heard me say that with scorn, right? I mean,
I know you heard. Now,
You should have dropped the glasses down.
in my
Really? I mean,
in my own defense, I did start off in audio, and the way it really worked was I did a lot of audio when I was in Minnesota.
Okay.
When I came out here to California and moved into the Bay, I learned really quick that there's a shitload of really good audio guys in the Bay,
Yeah.
but there's like 12 good lighting guys.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
I just kind of went, okay, I guess I got to be a lighting guy in this town.
It made sense that way.
It just kind of fit.
Yeah, for the opportunities and
Yeah,
such.
it just kind of fit. And plus, I was right on that brink of, like you guys were talking about earlier, I was right on that brink of analog to digital.
Sure.
You know, like, I remember the first time I saw a D show come into our shop in Minnesota, and we were like, "Oh my God, look at this beautiful thing!" And
All the pretty lights.
It's like, ooh, Vegas mode, you know, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It was great, but at the same time, it was like that's kind of right when I was leaning out of audio, and so I never really picked up on, you know, all the plugins and the ins and the outs and the racks and everything. But I can still put up an analog rig if I have to.
There you go.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
I can hang a line array with the best of them.
You know, the funny thing is,
it's just been a while.
I've noticed that with many, maybe Vern, you've seen the same. It seems to be more of the lighting guys can change lanes a little bit, especially if it's something that's not too complicated, as in the modern parlance of what we're dealing with. But you know, Hunter's got those skills. Hunter Pipes, who was on the show only 3 or 4 shows ago. Many of Alan Pettibone, our lighting guy normally, who's out with Primus right now, also can throw up a little speaker on a stick thing and do lights at the same time. And you know, but
I think I always felt like, you know, to shoehorn yourself sometimes, especially when you're just a tech.
Yeah.
You know, if you're front of house badass, you're front of house badass.
That's right.
But when you're just a tech, if you kind of shoehorn yourself into one thing, it's going to limit you on your gigs when you're trying to freelance. You work for a company.
Yeah.
then you're probably going to be okay. But if you're
Sure.
trying to freelance and somebody calls you up and like, hey man, I got this awesome, sweet video gig. It's just hanging a wall. Can you do it? And if
Yeah.
you have to say no just because you don't have that skill,
Or if you don't want.
or if you don't want to know that skill,
Yeah.
It's-
Well, we've
it's
seen
kind
a
of a
lot of
tricky
that, especially there seems to be that divide, and I always felt it was a little cops and robbers or cowboys and Indians vibe, especially when it came to, say, audio, video. And there's a little bit of it because we mess with each other. We're a production company, so we've got two halves of a big ass building, and this is lighting and that's audio. And every so often we'll come together and mix it up and we bust each other's balls.
Yeah.
But
evil kickball game. Or something.
yeah, a little tiny evil kickball. That's it's all in the name of fun and love. But yeah, there seems to be that slightly Giants against the Dodgers
Little
vibe
animosity?
between a little. I guess it's animosity. I think it's just a little bit of like, why wouldn't you be an audio?
I was,
Have you seen what the video companies make?
This board does Vegas mode, right? Show me that on the grandma, babe.
The video guys are making a killing out there.
well, I also find
that's
too
okay.
that knowing a little bit of those other disciplines, especially when you're on a tour. Like when we come in, we're lighting. We're first ones in, we're last ones out.
Yeah.
So when I come in and I start looking at the rig and the way it's going to lay out, and I'm like, okay, well, this has to go here and this has to go here, but I know the PA is going to be here, subs are going to be here, amps are going to be here.
Yeah.
And I'm able to plan around that.
Yeah.
And so when they come in 2 hours later to do their load in, they're not on my back going, you got all your shit in my way, blah, blah, blah. And it's like,
Sidelines, blah, blah.
9 times out of
You
10.
have to redo something.
Yeah, or 9 times out of 10, they'll come in and be like, did you save me all the space? Be like, oh yeah, man, if my motor cable's in the way, let me get them out your way for you. And they're like, what, really?
Instant
Oh,
defense.
okay, cool.
Well, no wonder he gets all the good tours because no, really, that shit travels
gotta be a
down the
team
line,
player.
man.
You know,
When
it's
you're
like
when you're a team player, that gets out in the world.
I did an early tour with that guy. You'd come walking into the venue, and all the locals would just go,
Oh, not
Look, I
yet.
didn't have my coffee that morning, all right?
Oh fuck! It's that.
My own
it's
defense.
that guy.
And so when I did that tour with that guy, that was when I made the decision, like, okay, I don't want to ever be that guy. I want to come into the place and have somebody that I've done 8 shows with over the course of 10 years be like, oh yeah, that cat with all the tattoos, I totally know that guy. He's gonna
Right.
take care of you.
Right.
He's got candy at Dimmers.
Yeah. Very
So
sweet.
Right.
you
Sweet.
give local stagehands candy, they will do whatever you
Oh,
want.
dude, we worked. My trick's always been, and George does this too. My brother is we always fucking make nice with the security real early on, so they don't fucking give you any shit at the gates. Even though you're supposed to be there, shit, you're gonna pack everything up. You piss me off about enough. Take my toys and go home. But why not just fucking bring him a cup of coffee and a pre-rolled something yummy, and be like, got your back, brother.
Goes a long way. It goes a long way.
It's that thing about the details. God lives in the little things, and so why not
And
go that
you
extra
don't
mile?
have to go. You don't have to go above and beyond.
No.
Just it's the little things that will make people remember and like will keep them on your side.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more, brother.
I've been to many venues where just being nice to people, you come back a year later, they remember you.
Well, that's because it's not the norm, so sadly, for some reason. There's so many, there's everybody knows the stereotype of the grumpy sound guy, right? Everybody that fucking white glover who won't look up from his board except for to talk shit. I don't get that. I've never got that. There's time when sure you got to be a little gruff and be like, I need this. You need to be doing this.
Yeah.
That is part of the game, totally. But
But don't start your day that way.
yeah, and certainly don't end it.
Yeah.
You've seen this more with artists lately. Maybe you've seen this with some of the ones you've been out with. We're doing something with Katy Perry, and she's a big ass star. She's very accomplished young lady, great writer, extremely talented woman, and she went out of her way, and it made a real impression on some of the new cats. And I've seen this more and more, but she came and introduced herself and was ready to spend a minute with everybody and got their names, and then somehow or another circled back and was able to kind of recite everybody's name, in an appropriate way. And I remember everybody kind of walking a little taller, giving a little bit more, trying a little bit harder. And it seems like it's such a logical thing you'd want to do and get everybody on your side. Prince was like this on some nights, and other nights he would be the other version, the other artist, So sometimes he'd be like, be up in your shit, talking the game, being just like a normal human, and other nights he'd be up in your shit in the wrong way. Like drop all the lows. I'm not having that tonight. It's crazy. Super.
Let me mix it on stage.
Yeah. Prince was a hands-on kind of a guy, and a handful in many ways, and an extraordinarily talented dude.
Get Scoville to tell you the story about his short run with Prince.
Oh, I would like.
I won't blow that story, but next time he's on the show.
Yeah.
I saw one time in Minnesota, he played in Target Center,
Uh huh.
finished his song, unplugs his guitar, walks right out the loading dock, standing on the street corner, purple suit, white guitar, waiting for the light to change. Walks across the street, goes right into First Avenue, walks right up on the stage, plugs the guitar, and just keeps on playing. It was one of the baddest things I'd ever seen. Like, we're standing outside First Avenue, and we're like, is that Prince over there? And we're like, oh, shit, yeah, that's Prince. He just comes walking right across First Street like it's no big deal.
Dude, he was full of surprises, that guy. Between his costumes and his antics and his band.
There are still many of the gold/mustard colored parkans running around Minnesota that are just randomly scattered at different shops here and there.
Yeah, I believe
There's a ton of it still sitting around there.
I totally believe that.
I find a lot with the acts that I've worked with that are older. You know, they're a little bit more friendly.
Sure.
A lot of the younger acts, you know, a couple of the hip hop acts that I've done recently, you know, they'll come on stage. They're surrounded by 10 entourage and 6 bodyguards that are the size of this wall.
Samoan,
you know, just walls of people.
Yeah.
And so they're kind of standoffish, a lot of them.
Yeah.
You know, a couple of the recent ones that I've done, they got nicer as the tour went on.
Yeah.
You know, when they realized, oh wait, these people are here every day. They're making my show happen.
They're part of the
team
of the circus traveling.
Yeah. So with some of the younger acts, I find it takes a little bit more time for them to get comfortable with the crew.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean,
well,
we're looking fools, you know. But, but once you meet us, we're teddy bears.
You
know?
think that that's like a foregone conclusion that that the tour camp and the band and the artists and stuff like that, they're all working in harmony because we're all out doing the same job.
Yeah. We're all out here to entertain the people.
Skills.
Well, I think his point though, and I've noticed it as well, because we are lucky enough to work with a bunch of very established artists, and almost some 50-50 mix of, you know, up and comers, the St. Vincent's and the Grimes and so on, and it really depends on your time on the gig, you know, your time in the trade. The young people are going to come and they're not going to have these things, and they're going to also have a bunch of heads blown in their ears.
Oh yeah, well that's a big part of it too.
And the way that the control happens there is to isolate.
Right.
So you want to isolate, and you want to act like this is some precious diamond in the rough, and they're keeping it snug back here behind the big phalanx of massive, huge men and a bunch of dudes whispering in each other's ears, because, you know, we're just the crew. It's a thing that kind of goes away with time, I've noticed. And some get there quicker than others. I mentioned St. Vincent, extraordinarily talented gal. When I first did St. Vincent, I didn't know who the fuck St. Vincent was, and so we were doing the thing, and I was staffing the show. And I was like, okay, you guys, who's taking St. Vincent? And the young people were like, I want that. And I was like, well, okay, talk to me.
It's funny. I got an other side of that story.
Yeah,
another side of St. Vincent's story.
What's the big deal? And they're like, oh, dude, she's like the thing. She's coming and bringing it. And then over time, we had more interactions, and I started to realize as we interacted that those walls came down, and she got way more interactive with the crew, and she was, and I started to understand, you know, from an old man point of view, from just a crew guy, you know, straw boss, to like, oh, this I guess is the future. This is what's happening, and I'm just old and not really up to date on some of the artists as they come forward. Yeah. What was your story on this?
Well, I was gonna say, but like on a flip side of that coin is on Stevie.
Yeah.
They would deliberately always put Stevie in a separate hotel from all the crew, because if Stevie knows that the crew's in the hotel.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, come on up to the room. I'm ordering drinks. I'm ordering food. We're having a good time. He doesn't fly private. He flies commercial. And that was one of the tours that I've done that we had buses, I think. I did maybe 4 or 5 Stevies, and we had buses for 2 weeks, and that was it. We flew everywhere. And
Makes sense.
When you go to get on your plane, and Stevie Wonder is sitting in seat 1A, your plane does not take off on time. Because every other person who's not on the tour getting on that plane is like,
right,
is that Stevie? And you know, and he's a really nice guy.
Yeah, it's a bottleneck on the plane
he'll
for
sign
sure.
Whatever. You know, he's a super nice guy.
I've never, ever, first of all, think about it. This guy's been who he is, Stevie Wonder. We're talking about Stevie Wonder since he was called Little Stevie Wonder. Yeah. Black and white days, man.
Yeah.
And I've done him in Pebble Beach to every kind of imaginable, for the millionaire birthdays to big gas shows for everybody. Mm-hmm. And just what a treat. Now, sometimes experienced a couple of his handlers can be a little bit tricky.
Yes.
But Stevie wants to know and be involved with everybody.
Yeah, and the handlers are there because he got ripped off so hard in the past when he was young.
That's correct. They're there for a reason.
Yeah,
for sure.
and it was one of those tours where it's like when you get the phone call for it, and you're just like, wait, what did you just say? Did you just say Steve? Yeah, no, yeah, I'm on. Yeah, I'll clear. Calendar's clear. Go. Yeah,
you want me to
go.
push something? You want me to plug something in? I don't care.
Yeah, just let
me go.
You don't turn down the legend when they call.
No, you can't.
You don't turn down the legend. You go with the legend.
That's right. That's right.
Well,
there's and so we're talking about somebody going from like an amazing to be able to work with a guy like Stevie Wonder and his band because he's got one of the fucking best bands in music.
68 people in one I did.
Think about what you just said.
68 people.
Look at the hair on the arm.
The stage was 80
They're just
feet.
like trying to imagine.
Only tour that we were able to break fire code in every place we played. Stage was 80 feet wide. We're like this far from the dashers. There's no fire lanes. There's no. That's Stevie. He's cool. Let him roll.
Man.
As long as you get Stevie out.
Who's gonna go tell Stevie no? Okay.
Yeah, who's telling
All right, bring it. Come on in, everybody.
Breaking the news.
We held it. We had to hold when we played the Palace in Auburn Hills because of a really bad snowstorm. We didn't start the show until 10:30.
Jeez.
And he played the full show.
Oh, I believe that.
We finished loading out probably around like
one of the guys, one of the artists that I've noticed through the years, he's like Smokey's like that, Smokey Robinson or Tony Bennett. They are there for the fan. They are there for the audience experience. They understand that. They understand that what they're gonna do, what they're gonna leave behind. That water cooler thing the next day. And it's very sweet. They're not running by a clock. They're running by an internal obligation they feel to the audience, and that's something to truly respect. Now, as we're talking about these old warriors, these old just institutions of music, national treasures, really, just like the three I just mentioned, national treasures, absolutely fucking incredible. There's these they're not even upcoming, they're current. Excuse me, they're kind of taking the next. They're the guys coming up. Somebody like an Eminem. I'm not a huge fan. I kind of get it.
Yeah.
But what I really get is the draw and the sincerity of the man.
Yeah. He pulls no punches.
I just need to clarify. Did you just say Eminem is an up-and-comer?
Yeah, no, I took it back. I took that back. I said to you, he's the next thing. He's going to be
good if he sticks with it.
Some like modern version of like Smokey.
One of these days, he's going to make it.
Just churn it.
It's going to kill it.
Yeah. If he just might get lucky and break. I don't know.
If he just sticks with it, keeps doing what he's doing,
but
that boy's going to go somewhere.
How to describe the man? He brings these bizarre shows, these massive shows. He's an extraordinarily talented guy. He's a really standoffish, kind of an odd, awkward person.
They did an augmented reality thing at Lollapalooza where if you were out in the crowd and you held your phone up, it just showed this like 80-foot Godzilla Eminem over the stage.
That's so appropriate.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
If you know his personality and all that kind of checks right out.
I haven't actually heard from him in a while. I mean,
that tour was probably about 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
At this point.
But when he comes out whole. He comes out complete.
Oh, no,
he brings it. He's got an extraordinary catalog. I defy a modern music listener to not know a batch of Eminem's material.
Right, yeah, completely.
And somehow or another, he understands how to write a beat that makes most of his songs instant classics. You got to give it to the guy. He's incredibly good for business. He's incredibly good at what he does. If you understand it or not from, say, from a crew perspective, you don't need to. And over time,
just look at the crowd.
Exactly.
And his production team is Curtis and Gary.
Oh, no shit.
And they crush. They handle everything. They're on top of it. From production to stage, you got no worries.
He's always, the last time I interacted with him was with D12. It was this side thing called D12, and it was a little chaotic.
Yeah.
But it was fun, I got it. He was bringing his boys out, and all of them, and his mind, and I guess in the hip hop audience really dug it. But there's all these guys with mics on the stage, and they're wandering around. It was like this weird,
handing them off.
It was this. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, it was a thing. But one thing you just can't shake a stick at is the guy's extraordinarily talented.
Yeah.
But what's it like going out and doing an Eminem tour?
Eminem was great. It was a weird one. It was mostly festivals, but it was a lot of fun. We had a really great set that was full of pyro. It had a 40-foot tall water tower on it that tipped over to about 25 degrees and then caught on fire, pyro all over it.
That's awesome.
Giant moving steel beams. It was a great little tour. It was a lot of fun. Everybody on it was super professional.
Yeah. He keeps it very.
he keeps
the camp he keeps with
Yeah,
it.
the camp keeps it really light. We actually did before they tore it. Right before they tore it down, we actually did all of our rehearsals at the old Palace.
Oh no shit.
And it was really weird to be in there because they had stripped everything. All the banners are gone.
Oh, weird.
There's a giant pile of motors sitting over in a corner waiting to get sold.
Oh shit.
And so it was just really weird to be in this. You know, I mean, how many hundreds of shows?
As you said, the history of that place is crazy.
You know?
It's the Palace,
Just,
you know?
it's,
Jesus
yeah, it's
Christ.
The Palace.
Yeah.
You always play, because,
Yeah.
you know, for the longest time, nobody plays it.
Yeah.
Nobody plays at Cobo, where the Red Wings play.
Yeah.
We weren't allowed to.
Yeah.
So everybody just, you
Cobo
know.
Hall.
It's like, it's that same, what's the shed up there? DTE. Old Pine Knob.
I think so.
Yeah. And, you know, it's like, you're always there, you know?
Yeah.
And so it was kind of weird to be in there and be one of, like, the last things, even if it was just a rehearsal.
Yeah.
You know, it was still kind of nice to
The ghosts flying around in
see
there.
the old girl off, you know,
Yeah,
so
that's
they
right.
say.
That's right. You were lucky, I guess. I would call that lucky.
Yeah, it was pretty nice.
But I can see
mean,
where it
don't
might
get
be
me
a
wrong,
little weird.
their new spot downtown is fabulous.
Of course. You know,
But-
come on.
Yeah, those old venues, man, they just live and breathe history.
Yeah, that's right. The walls could talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the old Foxes and shit, you know, Detroit's Fox or even our Fox.
One of my favorites is still Thomas Wolfe down in Asheville.
Oh, yeah, that's beautiful.
The place has been around since 1939, has not been updated since. The grid's still wood.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, hanging points in there is a
Hemp and
nightmare.
sandbags and shit.
You know, it's like an Egyptian ramp to get everything in. It's like a 50-foot-long ramp at an angle like this, you take a rope and you run it down, clip it around the case, put 10 guys on the rope, and they go walking down, and the case goes up. Like it's old school style. It's really old school style.
There's something enduring about that.
Yeah,
and
it's something that's lost too. You know.
Oh yeah. Well, you can always. It seems to be kind of like the Vegas model is tear it down and bring in whatever the newest the newest technology is. We saw something they did with Red Rocks, you know, recently with the new roof, and the new roof is.
They got a new roof.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude,
Wow.
the new roof is so fucking
They
teched
needed one
out.
bad,
No,
though.
they
I
really
mean-
did. They really did. The coverage is way better. The technology for the points, it's got sliding points. It's so much.
The only thing that always messes me up there is the fact that you got to load the trucks at the top of the hill
the
backwards,
cross load.
so that when you get to the bottom, it's the right way. That always messes my brain up every time I'm there.
Listen, then nobody said, you know, you're going to play in the fucking rocks. It's
Well, you know what? There's
you.
something with all the awesome venues are the hardest ones to actually do a show at.
Yeah.
You know, L.A. Greek, Hollywood Bowl.
Well, yeah.
You know,
Gorge.
Red Rocks, the Gorge.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
all those places, the most beautiful possible spot you could be in.
Yeah.
But from a production side, you're like, oh man,
Think
it's gonna be a
Mountain
tough one.
Winery.
Like,
Well, because
Mountain
they were built before there was any real consideration to.
Yeah.
I mean, equipment. What do you?
Well,
mean
I think the initial consideration was the beauty of the,
the
spot.
beauty of the
Yeah,
spot.
yeah.
You know, and whatever it took to get up there.
Oh yeah, I mean, you hang a truss at the LA Greek and your trim's at 15 feet.
Yeah,
You know, there's no room at the LA Greek, but
Yeah.
it's a beautiful, gorgeous spot.
That's right.
And then the only thing you really got to do is just when you get out of your bus, you got to watch out for the cars that are going to hit you as because they park all the buses in the
Only if
middle
you
of the
want to
road.
live.
Well, you know, these little minor things.
Yeah, right. Don't get caught up in the details, man. Jeez, what the hell?
One of my favorites down there still, though, is the Palladium. I love that spot.
yeah,
I don't know
dude.
what it is about that place. I
Well,
want
it's
to
the
rent it one
history
day
of
and
it.
hold a roller skating party.
It's the fucking history of that.
Because that just,
Yeah.
you know,
No,
the
no,
crew
no.
there is so awesome. They redid all that steel above the roof so you can actually hang stuff in there now. It's
Yeah, you
badass.
can put some weight on it.
Yeah, I love playing in that place.
No, super great spot. So there's no way that I can't have you out here and talk about. I mean, listen, all of us have had. Back in my day when they were a little more undertow days, I spent a couple years with these boys and just fucking loved them. But they were so insular and so quirky.
Yeah.
And so it took me 2 years to get permission to take pictures of this. 2 fucking years. And finally, I started pulling snaps, and then I had to get them all authorized to be like, okay, you can use that one, you can't use this one.
Yeah.
But the great Tool.
Yes.
You've worked with the great band Tool.
I remember seeing them, you know, right after I got out of high school, 1996 or something like that.
Yeah, Opiate Days and all that.
Yeah, seeing the band and just being like, I want to work for these guys.
Yeah.
It took me 20 years, but
Hey,
I finally got the chance to work for them.
Yeah.
And you know, I will admit, it's a great tour, partially because you get just the notoriety of it.
Sure.
You know, you walk in, any place you go, you're treated like royalty.
Yeah.
All the hands are happy to be there because they're like, hell yeah, I'm doing a Tool show tonight. This is badass.
That's
you know, from front of house to back of house, everybody's tip top, everybody's professional. Junior, their LD, Mark Jacobs, is one of like the baddest ass guys on a grandma ever.
Yeah.
Super nice guy, super quiet. Like totally unsuspecting that you're like, wait, this guy runs lights for like the biggest metal band in the world.
And
Like, wait, what are you talking about?
He's about to blow the place straight the fuck up,
Yeah.
too.
And you know what the best part? He doesn't use time code.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Shit.
Well, he may now. But the tours that I did, there was no time code on them.
No kidding.
So every single one of those hits is him out there
Following along.
pushing buttons.
Yeah.
So, but and when
he knows the materials backwards and forwards.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
he's
really
been doing
does.
it for.
And Maynard's got real specific needs, for his shadowing and the way that he likes to present himself, I guess is the way to put it.
I always felt so bad, man. Middle of the day, I would always have to go use the bathroom, and I'd be like, "Oh, I got to go use the crew room." And I walk into the crew room, and he's in there doing kung fu with his trainer, and I'm like, "Oh God, I'm so sorry. I don't mean to interrupt your kung fu. Like, I'm just trying to use the bathroom, man. Sorry."
Did you get any blowback on that?
No, usually not. Well, there was one tour where our drum tech actually got on his bus, and we were all just like, "Ooh, what's that like?" And he's like, "Man, you just got to treat him like everybody else."
Yeah.
He's gonna he would deliberately throw stuff out there to see who would be like, "Oh, haha, oh, that's so funny. Oh, you're so funny, man." And then the drum tech would just be like, "Man, you're full of shit. What the hell are you talking about, man? Shut the fuck up."
Yeah.
And he'd be totally cool with that.
And that works. Yeah.
And everybody else in the band is beautiful human beings. Every single one.
Adam's great. Danny's great.
Justin, Danny, Adam, they're all great.
Yeah.
We'd get into the hotels from a long bus ride from the night before, all super tired.
Yeah.
Adam's hanging out in the lobby, and he's like, "Hey guys, I found this awesome comic book shop like 3 blocks away. You guys want to go?" And we're like,
Yeah, that sounds right.
"Hell yeah, man! Let's go drop off our bags. We're going to the comic book shop with
Totally.
Adam." And it was almost a surreal experience. One of the best parts about that tour that still to this day I wish every tour did, if you don't have a pass, and I'm talking people who work at the arena, vendor, anybody. If you don't have a pass, you're not backstage.
Oh, no,
There's no one backstage except for us.
Well, no, it's the control backstage is sick. I mean, it's sick.
And coming from like hip hop tours where I have to build a wall around dimmers because there's 300, hangers outs just like, we want to party in your spot and spill drinks all over your 400 amp service. It's like, no. I don't mind you guys partying here. That's cool. That's part of the act. But you can't be near this stuff.
Yeah,
like,
somebody's gonna
it's
die.
dangerous.
Somebody's gonna fucking die.
Yeah.
That's right. Now, Tool keeps it on lock. We did a couple years back, Perfect Circle.
Yeah.
And there's actually signage that talks about the limitations of who can and when and where.
Yeah.
And that's not so uncommon anymore. You see, there's the Green Day roll like that a little bit, with the exclusion of Trey Cool because he's irrepressible and you can't keep him down. So he's going anywhere the fuck he wants. And I usually have been lucky enough to tool around with him and just go out and roust the fucking truck drivers and the bus drivers.
When they were, and like I said, that was one of those tours where, it was like Stevie, you get the call and you're just like, I can't believe I'm actually getting the chance to do this.
Absolutely.
And when I was on it was before the new album. So it was still technically the 10,000 Days tour.
Yeah.
So the lighting rig itself was a little bit easier than what it is now.
Yeah, it's pretty complex now.
It's crazy now.
Yeah.
It's a lot more complex. Like when I was doing it, it was pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
But it's gotten a little bit nuttier. I've thrown my hat in the ring for next year and
good.
See what happens.
Well, I know they're coming to the chase here in a minute.
Well, this is the way I always felt about trying to get gigs. Squeaky wheel gets the grease.
That's right.
So if you're just sitting in your house waiting for somebody to call you, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, or
you got to get on
unlikely.
the phone, and I don't care if you called this person 5 times a week. You got to let them know that, hey, I'm around, I'm available. Put me on a gig.
All right, so let me tell you, for a person that, at least from my point of view, and I think I can speak for my brother a little bit here. So we have that type of scenario come up, and we, fill tours and we fill positions on shows, and 5 times a week, I might block your number. But maybe an email and a text once in a while. I get that totally. But
well, have you heard how I got the gig with your brother?
Tell me.
Okay, so when I first moved to the Bay, I'm cold sending out resumes to every company around, every company in the Bay. And I'm just looking around, see what companies there are. I happen to notice, Delicate has opened a San Francisco shop.
Yeah, that's right.
So I find out George is the one running it. I had always heard stories of Crazy George.
Yeah, he can.
I'd always heard stories in Minnesota, but I'd never actually met him.
Yeah.
I send out a resume. 5 minutes later, my phone rings, and it's George.
Yeah.
And he says, "Hey, man, I'm starting to just cold call you like this. I never cold call anybody who just sends me a resume, but you have my best friend on your references list. And I'm like, oh, well, who's that? And he's like Brutus. And I'm like, oh yeah, Brutus is my boy. I've been rigging with him for 5 years up in Minnesota.
Yeah.
He's like, what are you doing on Monday? I'm like, nothing. He's like, cool, come in, you got a job. And that was it. And then then we were off.
Let's be honest. It is a lot about who you know and who you rolled with. And if you can hang with Big Brutus, you can.
If you can roll with Brutus, Brutus was he was one in a million for sure.
Yeah. So that makes perfect sense that he would have done that, and and it's proved out. When we do bring you in.
When you have a backing like that, you don't want to let him down.
Oh fuck no.
You don't want to let him down. You want to be like, okay, if you're cool enough to let me put you as a reference, then I got to be able to show that I can work at your level.
Yeah, and you've been nothing but gangbusters ever since. I mean, we reach out to you, and you're a busy guy.
And it's like I wish I had more time to devote to you guys.
We would love that, but we understand you're following as the work goes and what makes most sense to you. So when we do get you, we always feel kind of lucky. It's a good thing. So
I'm always happy to be here, man. It's always great to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you.
I mean, it's when you go to work for some companies, it's just like it's another gig.
Yeah, clock.
But
punch,
when you come here, it's all your buddies, it's all your homies, it's all the people you've known for decades.
Yeah.
It's the people you want to work with.
Well, we tried to nurture that culture and be worthy of that type of praise. So thank you for that.
No problem. No problem. I mean, that's the same way. Like whenever I have to crew chief a tour, I will try and stack it with my friends. But I'm also on the flip side of that. All my friends are of the same caliber that we all are.
I was going to say,
I'm kind of doing it with my friends, but I'm also stacking the deck in my favor.
Absolutely. Known quantities.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
I'm always making sure that it's like, okay, I need 2 competent people on the floor. Okay, yeah, I'm going with this person. I can hang out with them on a day off. We can go to a bar and just eat greasy food and drink beers all day and have a great ass time.
That's right.
And then on the work days, we crush it.
Yeah.
It's going to get done.
Yeah, exactly. And if some shit jumps off in that bar, somebody's going to die, and it ain't going to be us.
Well, I learned a thing from Gabe Nishan.
Yeah, of
so
course.
I learned an interesting thing from Gabe that he told me one of the very first gigs I ever did with him. He's just like, man, I just walk into every gig like it's Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah.
You're just wearing that suit and just doom. I'm here to crush it, and you're not going to like it. And then we're going to be out the door, and you're not going to know what happened.
That's right. Yeah. I've actually tried to get him on early on the show, and he said to me, I said, Gabe, come on, man, come and do this thing. Let's talk shop. And he said, I don't think I got 40 minutes. I've had that answer. It's like, fucking Gabe, are you kidding me right now, Gabe?
Sometimes you can't get him to stop.
Jesus fucking Christ.
I don't have 40 minutes.
Yeah, I don't think I got 40 minutes of stuff to talk about, Ben.
I saw him one time at AT&T Park. So we had it was one of the Genentech gigs.
Sure.
And
which are massive gigs.
Massive, huge gigs.
Yeah,
and I think this was actually like the Sheryl Crow Foo Fighters year.
Sure.
Like it was huge.
Yeah.
And so we had like $2 million worth of desks out in front of house. And this field guy comes out and starts spraying the grass.
Oh shit.
I saw Gabe jump off a 10-foot tall stage, just whoop, into center field and just go running to front of house like, what are you doing, man? You're killing my dad. Oh, it was luckily he didn't spray him, but it was still one of those like
close call.
Super close call.
Yeah, Gabe would have not reacted well to that.
It wasn't pretty, but you know what? He was on top of it and he handled it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
He's one of the calmest, most professional guys I've ever worked with.
Sweet guy. I was glad to see when he had a baby, he just fit right into that. It seemed like such a natural fit.
Yeah,
and he's such a happy daddy. So, good for him. I'm so stoked for him. And I guess what he's doing in his new position, he's very happy and he's doing really well. And so
that's one of the companies I work for a lot. Is that same company he works for.
And we're happy for him with that. We want that for him. So, a little shout out to Gabe Nishan. He's a good man. In your many years of doing this, you've done hip hop shows, you've done big rock and roll shows. Do you have a preference for? I know that I do, and I won't color this answer. But do you have a preference versus hip hop versus rock and roll?
A lot of what it comes down to is, end of the day, all I'm still trying to do is just make all those people who came in have the night of their life, leave with a big smile on their face, and they're going to remember it for the rest of the time.
Yeah.
But that kind of also plays into the type of crowd that is attracted to certain acts.
Yeah.
But no, I don't find it really.
Well,
I think it's okay.
Yeah. I'm glad that that's your experience with
Yeah.
it. You know, sometimes
I
I find it to be a little more difficult with the rap stuff. It's mellowed out in the early days.
It's gotten
Remember
it's
in
gotten
the early days,
It's gotten, in the early days,
it wasn't unheard of to hear some gunshots and
they just, they had no idea how production actually worked.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think they matured with the times and
Yeah.
they've gotten an understanding of the production and how things are the ABCs of it.
Yeah, it's
But-
a little bit. I don't know. It's kind of a toss-up because I've worked for some rock acts that are just, I don't want to do this ever again, and I've
Yeah.
worked for some hip hop acts the same way. But I've also worked on the flip side of that, where it's like, this is badass. I'll totally do this every year.
Yeah. Right. Good. I'm glad you've had
It
that
really comes
experience.
down to the people themselves you're working with.
That's true too.
So
That's very
often.
true too.
How you
often.
feel when you're in their
Yeah.
Well, there is the occasion when the audience is an influence, though, and I won't say any names or nothing like that. I didn't sing Clown Posse, but so let's not paint with too broad of a brush here.
I mean,
Yes.
it's only about that wide.
Yeah,
You're good. You're good. You're not a roller yet. You're not at
It's
the roller.
couldn't get a little interesting, but regardless. What do you think the future? It's a crazy time. We're starting to get our feet under us now. I was thinking we might roll backwards.
I was thinking the same.
But it
honestly.
seems like maybe it's taking a hold and we're kind of okay.
It seems to me like, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, okay, well, the days of 20, 40 truck tours are gone.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing 3 sticks of truss, simple little line arrays.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really seem that way. I mean, especially with a lot of the festivals I've done recently, like we did Rolling Loud in Miami, which was a train wreck.
That was rough.
It was.
They had a little mishap, didn't they?
They had a little mishap. That was on second stage. That wasn't on my stage.
Okay, good.
But my stage had its own share of problems.
Sure.
Which are way too detailed to go into. But, I've done that. I did Lollapalooza, did Firefly, a couple others. And what I found is that everybody's still taking out a ton of shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're not even a headliner and we've got a full semi full of stuff.
Yeah,
We're rolling out a full set with 6 platforms and elevators and, video wall and all sorts of stuff.
Right,
and
right.
the headliners, what they're bringing is
They're blowing out
above
hard.
and beyond.
Yeah.
About when we did the one Rolling Loud, Travis Scott's new rig is like it's Mothership Connection. It's a 40-foot round.
No
Floats
shit.
up in the air, all loaded with lights and hazers, moves all around. He's got like a giant rock set that goes in front of it.
Yeah, he's not playing. Travis Scott is not playing.
No.
He's trying. He's
No,
going big.
and
He's
Tyler,
getting a lot.
Tyler the Creator was the same way. He had
Tyler,
a
Kendrick.
full-size fake Chris Craft. Full-size fake Chris Craft sitting out in front of his stage.
No shit.
It was like a boat dock. It was like a Tahoe boat dock with a Chris
That's
Craft on it. Like
awesome.
it was beautiful.
Crazy.
And this was for a festival. This wasn't his tour rig. This was for a festival.
No.
And so, as much as I'm thinking that, yeah, it should maybe scale down a little bit, it doesn't seem to be. The one that kind of throws me is, I know Trans-Siberian Orchestra's going out again this
Oh
year.
yeah, that's son of a.
And I'm kind of wondering what they're going to do because that's
I don't
normally
think they know how to go small.
that's 80. Between the East and the West Coast, that's 84 trucks.
Yeah.
It's 60 buses.
Yeah.
So are you going to be able to do that scale with the driver issue, mainly the driver issues?
You're
that we
right.
have?
Driver issues are a major issue. right
Drivers are a big problem right now.
Yeah.
It's like I remember right when this started, I was helping a friend of mine move some stuff from Portland, and I stopped at a weigh station, and I run into my truck driver from Melanie Martinez, and I'm like, what? And he's pulling his upstaging truck, and I'm like, what are you doing here? And he's like, oh man, they got us pulling for Amazon. I was like, oh, well, how's that going? And he's like, totally sucks, man. He's like, I want to go back to arenas and stadiums. This totally blows, but it's paying the bills.
Right.
So
Right.
I just don't see how this early you pull that off. I was skeptical when we started coming back. I was really happy to be coming back. Don't get me
too.
wrong. 18 months of vacation,
Rough.
of forced
no
vacation
bueno.
was not
No
nice.
bueno.
No.
But I kind of felt like it was early enough to do big one-offs. It was early enough to do festivals, but I kind of felt it was a little early to do tours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not. And some people have been able to tour and pull it off. And some people haven't.
Yeah.
Some people I've called on tour that they're just like, dude, we just sit around waiting to get postponed.
Yeah.
So it's kind of it's a weird thing, but it also makes me think that like next year, you're not going to be able to find gear. You're not gonna be able to find guys, trucks, buses. Like, I feel like next year is gonna, if we can get past.
Well, just think about the 2020 shows that have postponed. The 2022, we know what. Let's name a couple names: Def Leppard, Motley Crue, Disturbed. This list, Whitesnake. I mean, on and on and on.
Everybody's blasting for. And I've seen a lot of tours that were announced for 21, and they're just like, you know what, we're just gonna push it off.
Iron Maiden did that.
Yeah, a lot of people did.
Yeah, and these are, these are our friends that are either musicians or crew members of every one of those bands we just mentioned. People that work in this building and that had to find another ride.
Yeah.
And to their credit, they did and went off with Alice and other big acts that found a way to make it make sense. But some of those bands are in a financial position that makes sense to them. Yeah. And they're able to keep care of the crew. Some of these are salaried crew members.
What makes me worry is all the smaller bands that are coming up. Yeah. It's like you can't. It's like these guys are these guys are loading all their own shit every night, set up all their own shit, going from club to club in vans and trailers. These are the people I worry about because these are the people who are the future of our work.
That's right.
It's like if they don't have that stepping stone to get to the next level, where are we going to be in 10 years?
Well, and plus think about all the houses that closed down, all the mid-sized, the ones like the Slims. What? Yeah, like Slim's shutting down. Slim's is gone, Daddy.
What?
Slim's went away like 6-8 months ago. And I've seen some of the coolest shows I've ever seen there.
Yeah. Slim's is great.
Bands on the way up
I didn't know that.
and bands on the way down. That's what you saw at Slim's. And,
That's a shame.
And those type houses are critical to the linkage, to the stair-step process of getting to the big time.
Yeah, and that's what I'm worried. So what are we going to be stuck with?
Your point is well taken.
Yeah, we're going to be stuck with a bunch of one-hit wonders in 10 years that are going to play like 2-3 hits. They're like, hey, I got number one on whatever, and then you're gone.
Well, so that's from a technical side, like a logistics and a real estate side, and how to maintain a business front and so on and so forth. But maybe I wonder, as old dudes, like when we were just listening to Supertramp, which Breakfast in America is one of the best recorded albums of all time, but you go past the technology of that and you just the musicianship, the players in that damn band.
Oh, no.
And we were all saying, they don't make music like this. Now, is that an old man thing? Are we just being old men? Yeah, see. Well, but Mikey Brown says, and Mikey's 33, and he's got a rockin' insane band of his own right. And see,
but I also feel like it's a little bit easier to just pick up a drum machine that's loaded with samples.
Yeah.
And be able to be some type of musician.
No, you are not fucking wrong.
Versus like you sat down and you learned how to rock 88 keys.
Yeah, that's right. Is there ever going to be a friggin' Elton John again?
No, I mean, one of the main reasons I do the technical side of this is because I tried every instrument and couldn't play a single damn one of them. So I was like, all right, well, I guess I got to go do the tech
Close
side.
as I'm going to get.
Yeah, exactly. I would love to. Like, one of my dreams is to know how to play a piano, but
that's the most beautiful instrument.
I just don't know if it's
versatile.
It's just
you learn piano theory and you can pretty much learn the other instruments, but it doesn't work the other way around.
Yeah, I know.
If I learn bass theory, I can't necessarily.
I just don't have that musical skill. Like I can count to 4 and run lights for you all day long, but I just don't have that skill to be able to pull that off.
Yeah, you're not.
I wish I did. I really wish I did.
Well, let's hope that we stay on the trajectory of. First of all, there was all that time. I imagine. DIY type musicians were sitting home for that 18 months creating music. They were taking that hardship. You know how many great songs, great albums have come from hardship and come from pain and loss and sense of loss. So,
I was actually kind of thinking that maybe like the pandemic would like bring this new wave of music from all these people who have been.
Logic would
I can't go out. Like shit, I'll just go in the studio.
Logic
and
would dictate that, wouldn't it?
I would think. Yeah, I would think.
And then other bands or more established bands, I would imagine, were hammering away at it. We know many examples that we saw where people were phoning them in, zooming in different parts and bringing it together.
I kind of thought for a little bit at the beginning of the pandemic that it was going to turn into maybe like. Webcast shows, like you're gonna load in a full arena style show.
Yeah.
But we're just gonna do 9-camera shoot and we're just gonna broadcast.
Yeah, yeah.
And I kind of thought that was gonna take off, but it never really did.
There was like a little nip.
Yeah, there was bumps and skids.
Yeah. But then a lot of people just started doing it from their house.
Right.
And so that's when I was like, that's when I was like, okay, well maybe this isn't really gonna fly.
Well, it just goes to show you that there's probably a hell of a lot more that goes into putting on a production than anybody gives it credit for.
Well, or that the general.
They don't even understand. I mean, I'm talking about the musicians themselves.
Oh yeah, well,
they don't even understand how much work it is to actually put a show on.
Well, so there's that, but I think it all boils down to, and it bottlenecks into the idea that you cannot download the live experience.
No, you
You're
can't.
not kidding. I'm sorry.
No, you can't.
You might be able to come close. You might be able to scratch the surface. It might smell a little bit like
I've
it.
watched
but
those
I'm
webcast
sorry,
shows,
dude.
and it's like when you're sitting on the
Yeah.
couch, it's like cool.
Yeah.
I can get up and get a beer and use the bathroom, and that's great.
Yeah, but
you're
no.
not. You don't feel the energy of that
Of
crowd.
the other people,
you don't feel the
just people watching alone, seeing
yeah.
all the nutty folks that show up to these things, and that's always fun and it's done right. That shared energy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm sorry, you're never going to be able to download that
No, for
properly.
sure.
So I think our jobs are secure. Let's hope the people that make decisions that keep us healthy and safe will stay on the right foot. Listen, man, it was an absolute pleasure. I know you're a guy that's a professional behind the scenes guy, so this wasn't exactly your softest,
in front of the
sweetest
camera
spot.
is definitely not my spot.
But you killed it, man.
I'm
did.
happy to be here.
Moment in the sun,
Didn't
man.
he do good? You did
I'm
really
happy
good.
I was happy to be here. You guys are. I mean,
We're brothers.
it's a beautiful thing.
It's
I
a
would
beautiful
love
thing.
to come back anytime you want to have me.
Thank you so very much. It was absolutely a treat to have you, my brother.
Yeah.
Thank you. You stay
Thank you.
safe out there.
I will.
All right, pal. Listen, I've really burned. It was lovely. Really
Yeah, you
grateful
can
to
tell
have-
because I kept my mouth shut most of the time.
I get a little chatty sometimes.
If it's not going well, I'm throwing in hand
Oh yeah,
grenades.
this motherfucker. He's like, we call him the hand grenade. That's what he does.
Yeah.
But to your deep credit, and we appreciate it. Thank you very much. Again, I imposed on you tonight. I accept that. I know that. I'll owe you one. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sleeping on the couch tonight. Just
Yeah.
saying.
No, you're a little silver-tongued devil. You got this all sorted. I ain't hearing that bullshit. You got your woman on it. Yeah.
She won't hear about it till tomorrow night.
Here you go and tell her your story, man.
I gotta go tell
Blame
the
me.
story.
You know that. I'm freaking.
Yeah, I'll take it.
If you just say it's Vincent's fault, she's never gonna question that even for a second. Like,
She's already thrown you under the bus already.
see
So.
what I'm saying?
Yeah,
She
yeah.
totally perfect.
That was-
Listen, guys. I know you got a million choices. Yeah, you son of a bitch. I know you got a million choices where to be on any given night. We do this every Thursday at 7 p.m. This was a weird in the can one. And so we were
I'll
lucky
come back
enough to
for a
get.
live one.
Oh, I like that
I
very
will come
much.
back for a live one. I got 2 weeks in Vegas after this, but I've got a little bit of time before my next.
Let's work that out. Let's
Yeah.
work on the timing on that. That would be
problem.
really great. Next week we're gonna have the one and only Jan Landy. Jan Landy is a legend in this business. Let me put it to you this way: his first tour, song remains the same, 1977 Led Zeppelin. We're gonna get him on here. He's the
born in 77.
fucking kids, children.
Led Zeppelin tour?
Yeah.
Well, maybe
And we're gonna have him in here. He's soundbroker.com. He's a badass, amazing engineer, an
fish
incredible audio company owner in Vegas, and he's currently hanging out in Phuket, Thailand. And we're gonna have him on and end the show, and he's gonna tell us some amazing stories about an incredible life led. Until then, be kind to each other and good to yourselves. Take care.